Hello and welcome to Back to School Night and welcome to Forensics. So my name is Mrs. Marcone and I teach forensics here at Oceanside High School, and I also teach biology. My background is in marine science and environmental biology. I went to UC San Diego and I got my Bachelor of Science degree in environmental biology, so that's more of my background. I also worked in scientific research for several years at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. I studied whale and dolphin acoustics. So science research background, studied marine science for a while, but I decided to leave that field because I was more interested in communicating science, and I really enjoy working with high school age students because it's such an interesting time in their lives where they're figuring out their passions and their interests. And I definitely love to be part of that and open their eyes to the world of science and forensics and biology. So this is my school phone number. I'm on campus a couple days a week. So this really isn't the best way to contact me if you need to hear from me right away. My email, though, is down below, alexa.marcone@oside.us. You can use that to email me, and I can get back to you a lot more quickly than if you call. Okay, so forensic science. This is a science class. Students will be expected to understand the scientific method and how to apply the scientific method to investigate a crime scene in order to uncover the truth about what actually happened. So the main focus is on real forensic science. So we're not really talking about your favorite CSI television show. And I'm trying to give students a realistic approach and showing them that it's really not about the beautiful looking people who always end up finding the bad guy. Really, what real forensics is applying real science concepts to investigate evidence and crimes. So that is the primary focus of this class. So the topics that we'll cover in this course for fall semester, we've already done our intro to science unit. So students learned all about the principles of science and the scientific method. We are currently in our intro to forensics unit where students are researching different specialties and different fields in forensics. Our third unit is all about the crime scene and evidence. So we're going to take a look at how we document the crime scene, really go into detail about different types of evidence and the different categories of evidence, and which pieces of evidence we can rely on more than others. Our fourth unit is about fingerprints and fingerprint examination. Our fifth unit is focused on hair and fiber evidence. And then spring semester is where we step it up a notch. So this is really where we're going to be doing a bit more science than compared to fall semester. So our sixth unit is our DNA unit, and students will be learning all about DNA and DNA analysis in the world of forensics. Our seventh unit, which is new this year, is all about wildlife forensics. Unit 8 is focused on drugs and toxicology. Unit 9 is focused on serology and blood analysis. And then our last unit is about ballistics. So unfortunately, because we are doing virtual learning, some of the labs that we do are going to be very hard to do virtually. I'm going to do my best to make these labs digital, but I'm hoping that we will be able to do some of these labs together if we eventually get back together on campus. So some of the labs we do involve analyzing hair and fibers, making, lifting, and analyzing fingerprints. We do a DNA fingerprinting lab, which is not really having to do with your actual fingerprints on your fingers, but another word we could call it is DNA profiling. And we get to use a lot of fun equipment with that. Blood typing, blood spatter analysis lab, detecting toxins, and we have a ballistics lab as well. So materials required for this class. So for distance learning, your student needs a device with internet, video, and audio capabilities. They also need something to write with, paper, and a good attitude. So even though we are doing digital work most of the time, sometimes I will ask your student to handwrite some work and turn that in. So they do need a pencil or pen and paper to write with. If we go back to campus, I'm going to ask your student to keep a binder or a spiral notebook designated for just this class. And this would be their forensics notebook or their forensics binder. They would also need something to write with and a good attitude. Okay, the grade breakdown for this class. So tests are 35% of their grade. Classwork homework is 30%. Labs and projects are 15%, quizzes are 10%, and the midterm for fall and the final for spring are 10%. With distance learning, I do allow one retake per test. And tests are closed note, closed book. So they should just be taking the test on the screen. Nothing else should be open. They shouldn't have their phone out either. So one retake per test. In case if they bomb it, they can retake it. In order to do a retake, though, they're going to have to prove to me that they're ready to do the retake, which means they're going to have to make sure all of their missing assignments in Aries are up to date and they are caught up with all of that. So once they've done that, then I will allow them to do the retake. If we meet back on campus and we're doing tests, then I'm going to actually switch to test corrections instead of retakes. And tests will still be closed note and closed books. And I do not allow retakes for quizzes. Okay, grading scales. So this is the grading scale. Everything looks pretty normal except one thing right here. So you'll notice to get a D- to pass the class, you have to get a 55%. Normally this would be a 60%. However, this is a rigorous science course, so we have lowered down the number to 55. So as long as your student gets a 55, they will get a D- and they will get credit and they will pass the class. So for student work, in terms of grades and the grade book, that will all be on Aries, and I will do my best to update Aries weekly with up-to-date grades. Yes, I do grades sometimes in Google Classroom. However, the final grade will be in Aries. For our class meetings, we are using Zoom. We're using Zoom because it has a lot more functions and a lot more security settings than compared to Google Meet. So we will continue with Zoom for the rest of September. Google Meet is supposed to have an update coming out where they're going to have more functions. So we might switch to Google Meets in October. But as of right now, we are meeting on Zoom. Google Classroom is where you can find all of your students' work. So this is where everything is kept. So our agendas, focus questions, which are like our warm-up questions, notes, worksheets, handouts, basically everything we do on a day-to-day basis is in Google Classroom. And this also includes supporting documents like videos or practice quizzes, websites, articles, any sort of supplemental things like that. And that is basically it. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. Here's my email once again, alexa.marcone@oside.us. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.